really like to give up, and they didn't really have that drive.
The expectation should be to win first place.
Get them to ascend.
We kind of just threw at the end.
30 seconds left. Yeah, MAD were winning 5 versus 3.
Look how quick this one.
Oh!
Winthrop University and always first picking Lotus. Sometimes not necessarily going their way today. They're going to rewrite that, though. 13-9 victory over at Cubert Academy to be starting off this series. I mean, Roy, when we get into it, maybe the last showing wasn't it, but they're going to show up this time, and that's what counts, right?
Yeah. You guys know that one basketball meme where he's like, I don't care if I'm 0 for 20. I'm going to keep shooting because if I stop shooting, it means I've lost confidence. That's quite literally Winthrop University and Lotus. They heard your feedback. They swapped up their comp. And honestly, it looked great. I'm actually a huge fan of their double initiator. I think it suits their style. It lets them unravel rounds at their own pace. It lets them make more calculated decisions. They're not really like shoehorned into playing in a specific pace, feeling forced to play off the breach utility. I actually really liked what I saw from Winthrop University. I think this comp suits their style, definitely.
Yeah, I think it works really well for them as opposed to the raids that we've previously seen too, because of the fact that you're talking about that lack of breach, something that we were kind of questioning initially. But when you swap in that Neon for it, the ability to throw out those concusses for yourselves, Infiltrator really great at setting himself up in that regard. And then also great follow-up coming out from the team too. Like I felt like Ali had so much impact with a lot of those paranoias, the zoning that he was able to do in combination with the salvos that Flair was throwing out there as well to catch a lot of players off guard, whether it was zoning them out of spots or just having them blind and having to actually die to that util as well was really well done there from Winthrop.
It really was. So the fact that, all right, it's kind of like an overnight switch. I think it's been 2 days. I don't know. I'm losing track now. To be able to pull out this a little bit of a different composition. That's something with this Winthrop University is they'll always switch kind of something up. So Roy, when it is time, push come to shove, they're always just going to be coordinated on it. But I want to then talk about what we've seen from Cubert Academy here too, because it was not just Winthrop University coming out with switches on the day. Cubert Academy more so. It was the roles. We got a little mix up here for everybody.
Yeah, so we actually thought that the Redux swap was maybe just like a split Icebox thing. Maybe, they wanted Knights on the Yoru, but no, I feel like Redux, at least what we're seeing is Redux is now the controller of the team, which has forced Scuba into the Sentinel role. Now, controller of the Sentinel is honestly not a huge change in my opinion, but the Duelists, from Sentinel to Duelist, from Duelist to Controller, that is a massive change. But honestly, Redux looked great on the controller. I feel like there's really not a massive loss in performance. He played very well. He got his openers. He performed well in the pulse plans, and he was able to have his impact probably in the scenarios he wanted the most to have, which is in the late rounds.
Yeah, and I want to talk about those post plans a little bit too, because we're looking at some of the numbers here on the scoreboard, right? And having secured that spike 10 times on the attacking side there for Cubert, but only succeeding 5 out of those times to win that round, I think says a lot also about the information comp on the side of Winthrop. We talked about how we weren't like the biggest fans necessarily of the Sova coming in. Something that, yes, Nasi does look good on this agent, but it previously felt like it was falling flat on this map. But now with Infiltrator onto that Neon, it felt like they had really great recipes for that retake potential, just so much info that they could play off of. For Cubert, it was really difficult for them to deal with it. We even saw them trying to like push into spaces here and there, but the spacing just wasn't quite there for Cubert in locking down those post plans, and the adjustments from Winthrop are really nice to see.
I want to talk a little bit more about one of the role swaps coming out from the team and compare and contrast it with what we got to see from Infiltrator from the other side. Because Infiltrator has been someone we've been talking about a lot, right? That is absolutely no surprise, no joke whatsoever. And normally when we would do this duelist head-to-head, we'd be looking at Redux on the other end, but Knights, like he used to do a lot of duelists and then forced into the Senti with this team. Now going back, but definitely for this first map, Roy, it was a little bit rough in comparison to what we got to see on the other side.
Yeah, I mean, we have highlighted Infiltrator as that duelist for so long, right? He always levels up to the competition. It doesn't matter who he's playing against, whether he's playing the bottom tier teams, whether he's playing the best teams in the league, he's always putting up pretty consistent performances. And Knights is new to the role. Like, yeah, he might play it in ranked. Yeah, he might have played it previously, but this is a whole different ball game, right? We're talking about like finding tiny minuscule gaps in a very util heavy meta. Everyone kind of has an idea of how to deal with the duelist, right? Like, Knights just seems to be struggling to find his impact, and it really did feel like he was maybe slightly overcompensating and felt a little bit forced and or obligated to make a lot of like individual plays, and it just felt a little bit off. And it really did feel like Winthrop University was just providing the better system overall for Infiltrator.
Yeah, and I think that I do want to throw them a little bit of a boon, though, for the side of Cubert, because for Winthrop University, this squad, another one of the teams that did not make any changes from stage 1 to stage 2, and Infiltrator has kind of just continued to heat up, it feels like, as the competition's gone on. Meanwhile, for Cubert, even though we know that Knights is a great shooter, we've seen him even taking a lot of space here on Lotus as well. He was doing his job to be the tip of the spear, but it still is a huge adjustment to have this kind of like triple role swap coming in for the team and adjusting to a completely different role from what he was playing before, you know, being on that Sentinel. And obviously, you're talking about how comfortable he can be on that duelist. I do think we see, you know, some of the ideas that are forming there, but the synergy with these role changers just hasn't quite been built up yet.
I mean, it's just still the start of, you know, stage 2 here. So they'll get a little bit time if this is how they want to be running things going on forward with all these role swaps, get a little bit of time to cook. But I love talking about this kind of just being a smidge newer in terms of our competitive play here. And hopefully every map at a time, we get to see a little bit more and more coming out from Knights. But let's talk about the next map, because Lotus, at the end of the day, it was Winthrop University's map pick. Now for Cubert Academy, this is where we get to see the Icebox come on through. And for Icebox, this is something that we've gotten to see actually just yesterday. This is one where they didn't necessarily opt in for the duelist, but Roy, I'm still excited to see what they've got, and it seemed to be a decently strong performance.
Yeah, I think this no duelist composition on Icebox probably suits their style the most, because there's really, everyone's in their strongest roles, the most rehearsed roles. Like, yeah, Redux is playing the Omen, but Omen is basically a duelist. Like, let us be real. Like, he has the most duelist kit out of all the controllers, right? You have the double TPs, you have the elevation, you have so many ways to just reposition, find your plays, play your one and dones and get out. Like, he's basically a duelist. And on a map like Icebox, where you can get so much value from the one ways, you can get so much value from the TP plays, right, with Omen, I think this composition really fits Cubert's side, and I honestly would not be surprised if this was an absolute stomp in the favor of Cubert Academy.
Yeah, I think even leaning into that narrative, the fact that Winthrop choose to start on attack. Okay, to be fair, we don't really know what they've been cooking with this squad.
Yeah,
right?
we do
have
not.
yet
We
to
do
see
not.
them on Icebox, so maybe their attack is insane, but defense, to let Cubert start on that when they were so strong with those retakes every single round that they won up against Burger Boys just the other day was a retake round situation for them, and they ended that half like, I think it was 7-5. So, or am I mathing right? Am I math? Yeah, it is 7-5. Okay. You know, I can count. All good, guys. All good, guys. I'm counting the squares on VLR right now. But yeah, it was a 7-5 half with all of those being retake situations. And I think that is insane, and something that Winthrop are going to have to keep in mind headed into that. They're really going to have to lock down those post plans. Something that we did see was going really well for them on Lotus. So I do still have high hopes for Winthrop to make this one a close one, if not even taking it 2-0.
Yeah, and the one thing that I honestly, let's discuss this theory just for a little bit, right? It is still Icebox attack side. Like, that might be one of the easiest halves to play in the game, besides maybe Lotus. Like, Lotus attack is relatively easy. Like, Icebox attack, you only really have so many options. Like, the mid is underutilized, it's too awkward. You're either going A or you're going B. So, like, I feel like Winthrop University are on the right half for sure. I feel like defense is so much harder to orchestrate just because of how awkward playing on the sites are, and you really need to have a very good idea of, you know, what are we countering, what crossfires are we running, and there's just so much to the defense that makes it awkward for these teams. And I can understand why they would choose the attack side, but I think you're honestly right in saying that we don't really know what to expect from Winthrop University. We have no idea what comp they're going to pull out. They could pull out do a double duelist. They could literally pull out anything. It really, the world's their oyster at this point.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. But at the same time, you're talking about, okay, yeah, it can be really easy to execute, to get onto those sites. But again, it was the retake that they were prepared to be playing there on Cubert, which I think really changes the game plan and the approach of how they're going to be approaching that defense and not looking to get isolated on those islands. And I'm really excited to see how that head-to-head is going to look between these two teams, because I don't know. I know it's a little controversial. Icebox is one of my favorite maps to watch as well. So I'm just stoked to have it back in the map pool for today.
Alan.
Man, I'm the opposite. I see Icebox, I see a Viper, and I'm just like, oh, brother, like, let's be real.
Icebox or Abyss, though? Which one would you rather see?
Yo, Abyss, at least we have people sometimes falling off the map, and it's funny. Like, Icebox, it's like, you know what's happening every round? The same wall, the same orb, just, yeah, it's a lot. But we're already on a little tech pause as we're getting the game ready. It'll just be another moment or so. But since we didn't get an opportunity in our pre-show, thought that we would pull back the predictions right now. And especially, too, because up one in the series, Roy, we're just one away from being right to be ending off our week.
I think we're sitting nice right now, Sierra. That's all I'm saying. Listen, I will never underestimate the people that have to finish their matches and then go submit their homework before the deadline's over. Like, those guys got a different level of work ethic. I'm here for it. Winthrop University, they've won my heart.
Okay, you know what? Fair. That's totally fair. I'm still thinking back to that that one interview that Moobs did, and he was just like, yeah, we're on spring break right now. Like, we're gonna go grab like some brewskis after this. Like, that was mad aura. That was mad aura. I'm not gonna lie.
Party right after. Yeah. That's crazy.
That was mad aura coming up from Winthrop. I think that, you know, I did have high hopes for the side of Cubert. I think that it is a little bit more difficult now, considering the role swaps. You were talking about how Redux does look good on that controller, but then it's also like, okay, I think Sentinel, it does make sense for how Scuba does like to play, but his controller was just so iconic that you would not have thought that that role swap would have come through for this team. But I'm curious to see if, like, with more time, if the cooking will occur. But I don't know. It's low-key hard to be a Cubert predictor today. I'm not going to lie.
And yet there's 3 of you. But hey, Cubert Academy, they have a stacked roster. They've definitely shown some good things on Icebox, and they got a good side. Let's head over to the agent select again. Cubert Academy, a bit more of a known quantity going into this, whereas Winthrop University, well, who knows? We could be throwing darts at a dartboard. You know, sometimes they don't even know going into something what they decide to play. And
I told you.
Wait, whoa.
Moves Reyna, let's go.
Not even just double duelist though. Moves Reyna, Flare on the KJ. So he's just like continuing to show us the flexibility that he mentioned that he could pull out for this team. Yeah. And honestly, I high-key actually like the moves on the Reyna. I feel like he's been popping off on those lurks. I'm expecting him to still slot into maybe some sort of lurk role potential here, just to have that flexibility and like swap that here and there with Flare as they look to like work this map on the attacking side. And Moves has just, you have to keep an eye out on him, especially now that he's on the Reyna. He's found so much value with those flanks previously.
And I think the one aspect of double duelist that we need to kind of consider, right, is you talked a lot about the retakes, the Cubert Academy, you know, the trademarked retakes that they have. Yeah, that's a thing. But when you have 2 duelists, people don't overvalue their lives. Like, this team is going to be willing to just like imprint themselves on your game plan and kind of push and be proactive in these pulse plans. And whenever they get on site, they're going to continue like pressing space and kind of disrupting your flow of retakes. So I think we're going to be seeing a lot of that. But that being said, guys, I am seeing a slight glaring concern with the Winthrop University side, because the side of Sentinels, they have so much plant denial utility. If Winthrop end up falling into the trap of going B and trying to plant on B, it's never going to happen. You have the Mosh, you have the Nano Swarms, you have the Fragment, you have the Viper Molly. Like, there's just so much to work with to deny that B plant, that if Winthrop University falls into that trap, it might be awkward. So my prediction is we're going to be seeing Winthrop University headed towards that A site a lot on their attack side.
And even if they do decide to lean towards B, like here and there, it's going to be that mid flank that's super important. I'm going to be expecting those plays where you see that Viper wall up, you call for that drop down to fight into backside there as well, just to deny as much space as possible to Cubert Academy, if they even want a shot at getting that plan down. But I do love your prediction about that A site lean. I think that the mid control is going to be huge here, as it usually is on Icebox, right? But I'm just going to be constantly having my eyes on Moves for looking to thread the needle for these backstabs.
Oh, it's gonna be fun. Always love a double duelist coming on out and a potential lurking Reyna. Dan Dryad is somewhere kicking her feet like, let's go. So let's get into it. It'll be exciting to see nonetheless. Yes. Is this gonna be a Winthrop 2-0 over this Cubert Academy, or is this the opportunity for Cubert Academy to bring it back on their pick? Icebox is ready and so are your casters. So let's head on over back to Marks and Tenray.
It's giving Jaws. That's the vibe I'm getting from this Reyna pick. Moobs is just ready to stalk whoever he wants. He feels so blasphemously confident, and I adore it, frankly, Marks. I think it's a great way to try to wall break this Cubert Academy defense that looked pretty dang solid on Icebox just recently against Burger Boys.
I can hear the dun 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 starting to build up as Moobs is going to be obviously navigating that map exactly like Ash said, threading that needle as we've seen Moobs do on previous maps. And I tend to agree. I really think that this Reyna pick makes sense, assuming that Moobs is going to be that lurking presence that Cubert Academy just have to be so aware of it. But two very different ideas coming into this one. One saying, we'll take map space, we've got a lot of utility to do it. And the other being like, we'll take map space, we've got a lot of bodies to throw at. So it's going to be interesting to see how these two especially clash off against each other, simply because the compositions, well, are favored for attacking if you are Winthrop University, and for Cubert on that defense as well. And I really want to harp in on what Roy mentioned with just the molly potential that Cubert have. There is a lot of chances to just deny space. So that's going to be something to keep in mind.
Very true. Easy to find a rut against this defense, especially if they decide to get aggressive first on top of it. But Winthrop have the shots to back it up. Good couple sheriffs on the side of this, I guess technically also Academy roster, but they're on the A site. They've got the 4v2 effectively. Ollie quite low, though. But this screen, they'll at least be able to cut the board up and let these two players individually kind of work their stuff. There's Redux with one. Waiting for that next poke as soon as Knights brings up the rear. Here he comes, and there he goes. Ollie the next to fall. Nasi, immediate reaction onto Redux, though, and so Knights has got to get the foot to the floor, pedal to the metal, and make his way up this site. Trying to find a proper line to get both of them at once. Nasi! First headshot's good. Infiltrator's quite low as well. Rope already given away, and there's certainly no time at this stage unless Knights nails the shot. He does! Is that enough?
Oh, I don't think so. I don't think so. It's going to be really close here, but no. 1 second off. 1 second too late. Maybe that hop just off of the rope. Unfortunately, maybe stalling things out, and Cubert Academy are not able to get that defuse there. But still, I mean, we're already seeing these compositions really butt heads against each other. Winthrop University just kind of steamrolling their way in, despite the fact that Cubert Academy had already done so much to try and deny the space, and they thought that they could get a timing and the pounce onto them, and Winthrop University were just simply ready for it. So they're going to be the ones buying up quite a bit. Nasi actually has a Phantom coming into this one this time, and that is going to be quite a bit of pressure to apply. Although I'm curious to see how Cubert are going to try to respond to this one, because once again, a lot of utility to just deny space and potentially zone people out, as Moobs once again might be on that flank, just lurking around. And so Cubert have a lot of things to keep in mind here.
And now it's Cubert that's got to do their homework, waiting for this second duelist make himself known. Winthrop gonna take their sweet time doing that. Noise on the A site, though, with the shots on the turret. Still no rush, though. Willing to go for the bare knuckle brawl if it needs to come to that.
Here.
The entirety of Cubert Academy are now set up. Ellie finding that first pick on the Nismo as well, and yeah, Flood comes through all the utility and suit.
Double swing on the pistols. This will do some good damage, but everybody from Winthrop's able to watch it. So they will clear the board again.
30 seconds left. Spike planted.
So Knights, we'll see what he can do on this drop down, but everybody's pretty set in their ways, and Ollie's got the outlaw. That'll be 2 for him this round. So, I mean, this A execution looking quite solid so far when Cubert are willing to fight on top of it. Obviously, when the guns are the other way, we'll see if they try to re-enter that conversation again. But proactivity, not necessarily the answer every time from Cubert. Like you said, we can lean back into those trap plays a lot more with all of these mollies. Just go for setback after setback, and I don't know, maybe try and time him out a little bit, force him over to mid, maybe try and coerce that lurk.
It's just so hard to do that, though, because no matter which way you look at it, if you toss out those mollies, if you try and deny some of that space, well, Winthrop University, like, they just want to go forwards here. They just want to take that advantage, take that brawl, and that's exactly what's going to happen. T-Dog, though, able to find the better half of Infiltrator. This time around, Cubert do have the better weaponry and will be just holding their ground on the other side of this Viper's wall.
Like Winthrop are going to be keen to fight it. At least Moobs is. He'll make his step out and grab a kill with that Guardian. Step right back. Now Hunter's Fury from Nasi to try to cut into this A side as well. But with no real prior intel, it's a bit difficult to do much more than just scare the members of Cubert into maybe stepping out, which is what they'd like them to do, because Flare is waiting in the window of the tube to catch whoever may step out a little too far. There's Scuba gone. Nismo able to waltz past. Redux can at least deal with that. Winthrop 40 seconds on the clock, and now they're reconsidering their reconsideration, heading back over into the A site that Moves is re-cleared after Cubert's abandoned ship. Knights now the one to circle back. Redux the sightline back. Moves can take care of that quickly enough, but Knights again cuts the head off the Hydra and continues to grow as the spike goes down on A.
And now the spike is down. Keep in mind, Nasi will have that recon dart ready to go. 2 shock darts still available. You can see that the pull off is, of course, going to be happening here. Ali, no utility left, is going to try and take that fight.
It's a little grimy, but he gets the job done. Nasi the frag back, but with the fragment, Nismo can stall for half. Not long enough, though, and Nasi will win another fight. To get a third for Winthrop on the board here. Attack continuing to look crisp, slowly gaining those advantages over time. The very same thing that Cubert feels suppressed from doing at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, straight up, like Cubert Academy, it feels like they're just a little bit confused as to where the spike is going, what is really going on. They completely yield that A site, allowing for Moves to move up and get a cheeky little kill. And you know what? The rest, it just makes it so much more difficult. They got to get themselves back onto that A site, get ready to defend. They just simply made the wrong call on where Winthrop University were going to attack. And now things are not looking good. They've got just pistols on the board right now, building up to a couple of ultimates, but not quite there. Meanwhile, Winthrop University, it's a little bit slower this time, but you can tell they're like, hey, this A site, it's worked 3 times in a row. Surely it's going to work again, as already Infiltrator finds Redux.
And staying nice and close and personal, so we can let that push go at the drop of a hat. Still suppressed, so can't dash in, but we'll just make do with the shots. Toxic screen to at least stall out whatever else they may try to burn in this, but as that fades away, so too do the chances that Cubert have of defending on this site. Infiltrator's good for 3.
Spike planted. Toxins going up.
More for the road? We'll see. Now, scurry on back right into the waiting arms of Flare. So we'll keep pressing that A issue until it's figured out by Cubert.
And it's really interesting right now because one of the things we highlighted on the desk, as well as I was anticipating to see in this matchup, was that, oh, Moobs taking space, oh, Moobs with the lurk, oh, Moobs, you know, on the other side of the map. And that's simply just not the case in a lot of these rounds. We're actually seeing that the Reyna is playing right ahead of the squad, trying to take a little bit more of that attention, as Infiltrator is the one just swinging off of those leers. An excellent example on that last round. But generally speaking, they're just relying on the utility coming in from Flare to check whether or not there are people coming from behind, and then we'll promptly deal with it. This time around, it's just been kind of full send onto a site, allow for both of those duelists to be active and find enough kills, and honestly just set up Infiltrator to have a crazy frags in order to make sure that Winthrop University win out that round. A bit of a different style this time. Redux, though, does have the operator, misses that first shot, does catch a little bit of a foot there, but unfortunately doesn't secure the kill. And so now Winthrop University are aware that the op is on the other side, and looks like we're finally getting that potential switch up as they decide to pressure in towards B.
And Cubert crept up while Winthrop tried to play that neutral, and Nismo found a cheeky angle, getting Nasi down to 17, and yeah, that op shot getting Infiltrator down to 26 as well. Worse for wear against the potential stray down, so they'd like to have the better end of it. Heading on to that B site now, Infiltrator ducking through the smoke. Gonna go for the one and done on top of the dash and gets nothing done with it. But on top of the Viper Molly, who was immediately aggressed, so he'll get traded away. Meanwhile, Knights from the kitchen, which was getting watched this whole time so that Winthrop couldn't infiltrate through that. Doing his job, now on the exit, Nasi Waiting just a little bit longer than I think most people are comfortable with, but get the job done. Isma trading that back out, but time waning here for Winthrop University on the plant. 7 seconds to go. They've got to get back to the front line. Flair trying to play bodyguard, but that'll get shot back down, and they have no time. Winthrop, they're going to lose out on this round. Cubert, they were able to eat away at this enough.
Yeah, it felt like Cubert Academy that time, we're just kind of chiseling down the offense from Winthrop University. Slowly weaken them down, slowly space them out a little bit more, and then just decide to cut them in half when they needed to. We're seeing Redux as well be able to get a couple more shots with that operator, making it come online just a little bit stronger here, but it might have just been a little bit of an overcook from Winthrop University. As soon as they kind of give out their positions, a lot of this utility that we see from Cubert Academy is excellent for kind of playing for those 1vx frags. And oh no, Redux misses that first shot, and Ali's able to take that Omen out. So that's that operator, the very expensive sniper rifle that's already down onto the ground as Winthrop go to good old reliable moving in on A site.
And it's going to force Scuba to get a little more actionable on the passivity in that same spot. But with the lockdown, everybody on Cubert has an excuse to not be on the A site at the moment, as Winthrop will make their case loud and clear. Moobs finally getting that front line going himself instead of Infiltrator, who is rounding up back this time. Moobs will grab the first. Both duelists now down for Winthrop as Cubert made their first drop. That was Knights getting both of those kills, but
Spike planted.
rest of the crossfires pretty clean. Scuba, world of work ahead of him. Nice first shot into the high-low. Flair above Ollie. First entry is good. So 5-1 now on the attack for Winthrop University, continuing to make this A site look like mincemeat.
And they've got a lot of ultimates coming into this next one as well. Of course, I'm looking at that Hunter's Fury as well as the Viper's Pit. We know that the Hunter's Fury probably just gonna come out in response to the lockdown if Scuba decides to put that one down. But yeah, this just feels really controlled by Winthrop University. Cubert Academy haven't really had those individual opportunities to kind of swing the rounds back. It's only when they're able to kind of isolate those duels, isolate those weird, awkward fights, where if they come out on top of them, then it tends to work out. Infiltrator already popping the knives here. It's aggressive from Winthrop.
Waiting out the flash, and still Nismo wins it out. That's a great start for him. Still winning out that fight even after Winthrop was able to time it out a little bit. Gets out scot-free. Beautiful flash coming from him. Winthrop, unfettered. Still walk onto this A site. Through the screen, and Nasi gets two off rip.
Oh,
the collapse,
no.
are you kidding me? And there's your one cry for help gone for Cubert Academy. The gun advantage is now gonna pierce right through again. Gotta play at a snail's pace, and it starts with this lockdown. It won't fully extend past the Viper's Pit. That'll get set up to counteract it. Now Hunter's Fury as well, just to keep things safe. But in the process, Cubert's actually gotten on here and at least dealt with Flair. Now the wingman sent on to the Spike. You gotta use your resources on that with the shock darts, but Spike is still half procced, and there's a good, decent chunk of Cubert still on this site. You've gotta come into the fight, and you can't. Cubert are the ones that can overwhelm this time around, and the ult trades win in their favor, 2-5.
And Winthrop University that time, as soon as the spike goes down, you can tell it just looks a little bit discombobulated. The Hunter's Fury comes through. I think Flair might have gotten caught in the midst of all of it, just getting pinged up by their own friendly Hunter's Fury, but it just felt like absolute chaos here. In what should have been a bit of an easier round for Cubert Academy, Nasi being able to find that double kill, honestly just even things out, and then at that point, it was a bit of a scramble. So Cubert Academy take advantage of that. Most importantly, they get quite a few high-impact ultimates out of Winthrop University. Meaning that Cubert Academy, they've got the ultimate advantage here. They also do have the gun advantage here. We're seeing Infiltrator only have an Outlaw and full shields across the board for Cubert Academy. And so sure, it's still gonna do a lot of damage, but it isn't gonna be enough to secure any of those kills. And yeah, we're seeing a bit of an adaptation. Winthrop University, they say we've done enough of A. Let's move over to this B side, potentially contest it. It didn't work out too well for them on that last round that they tried to pressure B. Let's see how it goes this time.
Well, it's Moves really asking for the fight at the moment up yellow, and Flair, who's been relegated to this lurker a little more often on the attack, who's going to take up that responsibility again up the A creep. See if anybody from Cubert wants to get a scuffle going. Moves is making the creep up on top of the Lear, and he'll win his fight. Ollie also against Scuba after that creep up from mid was successful, and Winthrop have once again found the cracks the perfect time. 5v3, and
30 seconds
these guys are just about everywhere, but Nismo, his escapade, can at least re-clear that mid line. Move's gone. Ollie having to commit to this stick. A lot of mollies thrown his way. He's still standing though. Running away now. One-way smoke to try and play keep away all this time. Flair though creeping around back from the kitchen. Is it gonna be in time though? Hubert's getting this done quickly. T-Dog with 2. It's all on Flair at this stage, and I believe the sightline's already been given away. Nismo the one to turn to it. And it's Cubert that acted quickly enough this time around to grab a third.
Yeah, and honestly, just excellent job coming in from Cubert there. I love the way how they played off of their utility. Just kind of go and flash, set up the smokes properly, just play it very classic and move in there. And honestly, Winthrop University's kits don't really have anything to, counter that, play for the longer time period. A lot of how they want to play is a lot more fast forward thinking. And unfortunately, they just get zoned out completely by it. So excellent job coming in from Cubert Academy. And once again, they're starting to stabilize themselves. There's only 2 rounds now separating these two teams. And Cubert, they're starting to get their ducks in a row. They're understanding how to counter this composition, find the holes where necessary. And we're not seeing a lot of those highlight clips anymore from Winthrop University, which really this composition should only allow for those types of things to happen.
It's very interesting seeing a team like Winthrop develop where so much of the weaknesses that they were able to prod Cubert for, previously, along with the other teams that they, made some headway against on their way to their 3rd place finish in that previous bracket, was the fact that they were able to, out-mechanic and out-shoot at the perfect moments and execute these trap plays on top of it. You see now, especially with Ollie playing on the team, you can see him trying to set up a couple more dominoes in that row before they knock them all down, go for, a lot cleaner set plays, a lot cleaner trap plays. And it's definitely going to work out in the long term, but in the course of that, Cubert Academy, which is much more used to that, and of course still prone to getting these insane frags thrown at them from these players on Winthrop, they're able to collapse on that 2nd or 3rd domino falling, and Winthrop hasn't been ready for it a couple times at this point here on Icebox. Luckily though, they got all reliable over here on the A site, more often than not, been pretty successful, but the KJ util's finally here to try to react to it. We'll see if this stack from Cubert is good enough to hold it down. Elbows for moves not yet shown, but it's getting pretty dang close. Everyone just itching for the fight, and here we go. Jumping on top first from Infiltrator. Nazi the one to get the frags though from Winthrop's side. Now waltzes right into the Nano Swarm where he will take his last breath. 3v3, and everybody's got to take a breath from it.
A little bit of gunk in your eyes and the gecko, and you can't see what's going on right into the Nano Swarm. But it's so interesting because previously we've seen the confidence from Winthrop University being that motivating factor. You know what? We can just go in there and we're going to frag out and everyone's going to have a good time. But this time around, they have to use a lot of their utility instead to try and get some of that space. And you can see that the confidence is slowly slipping away from them. And those are the moments that Cubert Academy are going to be ready to just counter utility them, make sure that they're ready in these awkward angles and find a couple of kills. And as soon as that confidence starts to get lost from Winthrop University, not only are they down in their potential utility to clear things through, but also in manpower. It's going to be the spike down. It's going to be 3v2 now onto this retake. Ali just playing up top, but dodges the paranoia.
And gets back up on top. I don't know if Cubert's ready for this, but Flair is actually the first to frag out anyway, and now partially protected by that toxic screen. Now the wrap back from Ollie, and all of a sudden it's a 2v1.
Wow.
And Redux can't do a thing. You can just walk right through the smoky setup on that fight again. It's just a little too slow. And now Winthrop, the ones to spring the trap on that A site that they will once again win.
At Cubert Academy, I mean, you take a look. Oh, we're going up against a Viper. Oh, we're going up against a Killjoy. Surely they're going to be back off site. There's no way that they're going to be hanging out and playing so close by. No, that's not the case at all. Completely catching the members by surprise. You see that first kill come through, and then Ali with a wraparound is able to get that second. And, you know, it's just so difficult because Cubert Academy are simply just not anticipating it. And that's not to take away the value that Nasi was able to find so early on, as the Redux this time will be taking moves out. We see a different look from this offense. They're going mid here as a T-Dog. Oh, spotted someone out? Yeah, okay, you got it.
Should be okay here. Infiltrator, though, from the window.
The bait.
Another perfect tip for Tap. That'll bring us back to even footing, 3v3. Great opening frag there, though, from Cubert on top of Nismo's flash. Redux, some beautiful shots to be able to find the end of Moobs' health pool there. Oh, Infiltrator, you've been gifted another. Let's send him some more. Give him the ace. Oh, please.
Oh my goodness me.
You should have seen your faces.
He's him, bro. He is him. That is unbelievable.
Just walking out one after another like lemmings there. Lighting yourself up, and quite frankly, it just came down to Infiltrator being very on the ball. I thought that was an excellent first pickoff there. And sure, Nasi does actually avoid the thrash. A little bit surprised there, but Infiltrator just uses Nasi as bait. And then, of course, just, you know, holding so closely. The rest of the team are completely moved themselves around, unmoved by the wingman going through. Infiltrator finding that ace. And that is going to be the injection of momentum that Winthrop wanted to make sure that they continue to feel dominant here. Cubert now forced only on 2 pistols. They do have the Viper's Fit as well as the Null Command available, but I don't think you use them this round. You want to hold them into your pocket for the next one to try and continue your economy forwards and potentially swing around with those high impact ults.
Yeah, keep it respectful. These duelists for Winthrop sure won't. Hunter's Fury, as soon as Moves confirms Knights' position, he'll just wait for him to get flushed out by that Hunter's Fury. And while we're at it, we'll go ahead and chip away at Scuba's health pool too on the site. Cubert's already here to fight, obviously. They like being in front of this with just the Sheriffs. But unfortunately, really tough to poke your eyes out here when there's so much staring back at you. Paranoia tossed one direction to at least give them one opening to work with, and it's enough to grab a couple picks on the board. 2v3 here with Redux still having some time to step in front. Infiltrator, land your shots, buddy, or else you've given him a little more window here. Flare luckily able to pick up the pieces from afar, and Winthrop makes it 8-3.
What should have been a very easy round, suddenly everyone was sweating for a second, because we see that Redux somehow, just with a sheriff in hand, able to find a couple of heads, completely swinging things back into potential win territory. And now just one more round left in this half. Cubert Academy looking to potentially get that 4th. Otherwise, well, both me and your Preds are going to be going right out the window. Winthrop University, on the other hand, looking so strong and dominant here, really controlling the pace of how all of these fights have went. Sure, Redux pretty good at finding that first kill at the start of the round, but after that, it's just Winthrop University really controlling the pace of the round.
Toxin screen down.
Good early shot again from Redux. Now holding this operator yet again. Gotta really get used to seeing him on this Omen. Apart from the Icebox, of course.
Right here.
Get out of my way.
And I gotta say, like, with these composition shifts, everyone highlights Redux on Cubert Academy, but I was a really big Scuba fan, especially on that Omen. And I have to question whether or not the swap of Scuba onto the Sentinel instead is kind of hindering the amount of fragging power that Scuba had in him, because I mean, we've seen that Omen just kind of light things up individually, and the kit is built around it.
Oh, perfect response time from Infiltrator, despite Knights' terrific do-si-doing around his Viper's Pit.
Oops.
Spike
It's all right. We reset and we enter. Still a little too early. Nasi again, the back. He's fully blind, and he's good for 3.
One enemy remaining.
Unbelievable.
You should run.
9 to
mouth
3
is-
on the half.
Wide open
Switching sides.
after that. Somehow, very consistently, I would like to mention, Nasi not being able to see is somehow always good for a double kill on that A site. Just in all of these different positions, somehow just completely unchecked. And once again, I'd like to highlight, Redux has been the one who is usually getting first kills in this round, and yet still Cubert Academy can't really convert it into any round wins. We're even looking at the kills right now on this scoreboard, and Knights leading Sentinels Cubert Academy with 10 kills, and on the other side, Nasi has 17. It is just unbelievable numbers being put up by Winthrop, but this is going to be the real test. 9-3 now, Winthrop on the defense. This comp is very interesting to play defense with. Let's see how this one plays out as Cubert Academy. It's going to be very heavy util, very heavy zoning in order to find some of this attacking power.
And I can already hear that Jaws music starting up again. His moves is the first person to start trekking up that A flank. But again, Cubert, very quick to the punch. They're going to pile this. And Ollie already gone. Very close in front of it, actually. But understanding this potential rotation from Winthrop and the potential flank from Moobs, Cubert turn their heads back and deal with the lesser problem. Now, the canvas is completely clear for them. They can head back over to A site. They got the time to. Winthrop has to change course before Cubert even makes a call on the attack. Oh, but they won't. They'll double back. They'll recall it. They say, no, we got to stick to the guns. Make sure that this isn't what they commit to, because it is. Cubert extends, takes over yellow, and sends little guy on over with the spike in tow. Now Winthrop gets on top of it. Oh, just a little too late to try and shoot him down, and at least try and extend this fight a little longer. But Cubert, it's overwhelming control from here on the pistol round. They've got every bit of the territory, and almost everybody's still standing. If Nasi, bless his heart, doesn't have something to say about it. 9-4 for Cubert now.
They mess with all
an excellent pistol round, and this is something that I think we're going to be seeing a lot of on the attack for Cubert Academy. It's going to be a lot of zoning, a lot of control, and then very small areas of flash and clear. You know, cut the site in half, take our space. We've got a lot of smokes to work off of and a lot of flashes to work off of. This way we can make sure that when we see those members of Winthrop University, it's just clean, easy kills. There's going to be a more reliance on the util here. And with Winthrop University's composition, like, they're naturally not going to have a numbers advantage anymore, and they can't get that train rolling as easily without those guarantees. And so it's going to be a lot more difficult on this defensive half for Winthrop to be able to find the same value they were on the attack. But still very early rounds. Shoulder spotted out by Scuba, as yeah, it's going to be the spike down very early on.
They're going to start the swarm Scuba here. We'll see how much of a fight he's prepared for. He's got the nano swarm to try to deal with the off angle, and Moobs can't land the shot. Winthrop luckily able to deal with the rest of that, though. Issue is, rest of the team still on the other side of the map. So Nasi, the only point of contact at the moment. Looks like he's just trying to get a good angle to at least fish out some util. There's the Dizzy, at least gone. Winthrop doesn't seem like they'll fight too heavy into this, though. They know their time's quite cooked, and they'd rather just get their orbs, get their creds, not hand Cubert anything extra for what they know will be an arduous half in still an unfinished game. Cubert Academy, not walking in with a whole lot. Gotta say that much.
Yeah, I mean, I was just about to say, like, Infiltrator going on the flank, completely unnoticed. Also, too, has a bit of a bulldog in hand. That could be dangerous. And Cubert Academy just not wise to it, just assuming, yeah, they're probably just going to die to the spike. Keep it simple, silly. And instead, Infiltrator in the back line, the man who got the ace previously, makes sure to punish absolutely. And now the economy for Cubert Academy is going to be looking a little bit dicey here. It looks like the investment is going to be coming in. They're going to try and match tit for tat, go for rifles here. It's not exactly the best. And T-Dog gets quite a bit of information as Ali shoots down the Dizzy right off the bat. But still, they should be aware of what's lurking on the other side.
Oh, there's Infiltrator with the creep up. Can anybody from Cubert get on top of it? Yes, they can. In fact, they deal with the whole kit and caboodle, and they'll, once again, rush down this lane to get an early advantage on the site itself. A little bit of homework they have to deal with these nano swarms, so it does give time for Nasi to throw a shock dart into the mix. I believe that clipped Knights, but now its player has got to do the majority of the damage. That's a easy headshot to start things out, but Cubert will not exactly be too motivated to poke their heads out too much more here. Nasi at least deals with the outskirts, but again, same kind of conversation has to be had here. And Flare, only good for the one. Keeping it tight, though, as Cubert will take their 6th.
Yeah, and honestly, Once again, the weaknesses in the composition are really showing their face here. We see Winthrop University, Infiltrators specifically, the one who's been popping off, finding so much value, are just like, all right, let's take the fight right to them. And we see that brawl happen so early on. Cubert Academy, just simply with numbers, are able to win out that gun brawl. And so it swings very heavily into their favor to be able to come in and just take over the site. And the rest is going to be history. So annoying. I'm getting annoyed watching the screen, seeing all this utility fly in your face. If you're trying to retake Icebox on C, oh my God. It's definitely tough here. But still Winthrop University are trying to force the issue. An excellent headshot from Moves and able to get the escape as well.
That's the kind of moment you're looking for is Moves. We'll see if he can farm another one as Ollie pokes his out again too, just to play distraction, and it's working pretty darn well. Everyone is behind this, but Knights has circled again too quickly for their comfort, and that'll be the one cry from Winthrop, silenced again. Cubert now up to 7-9. Continuing to just barrel through this B site, and like you said, the weakness is really starting to show themselves for this comp. Only so much you can really do other than just gun it down and be better.
Yeah, at some point, if you keep on holding on to that gas pedal, your engine's gonna shut off. Let me tell you that much. It's still just like, you can see on that last round, it's like, oh my God, they put the spike down. Quick, guys, we have to go. And it's just, there's not that level of coordination on that retake anymore. It's just, we just gotta go in there and find kills. Everybody move in and try and find kills. And it's just a mad scramble from Winthrop University on that defense. And so Cubert Academy, like, cursed believers out there, watch out, because it's looking like that might be in front of us right now. I don't want to call it just quite yet, but Winthrop University, this defense has left a lot to be desired. Still not able to pick up a single round in this half yet, as Cubert Academy have strung together 5 in a row. This time are stretching their strategic legs and going to be moving over to this A site, something we haven't seen too much of yet. But the Thrash is ready to go from T-Dog, and that's going to be excellent entry.
And Winthrop's going to need to, book it on down. Moves somehow, wins that out. And with that Empress active, we'll be fully kitted up for the remainder. Nasi, easy entry kill onto T-Dog as well. And this attack feels a little more stunted from Cubert Academy. Feels like Winthrop may be able to get a solid grip on this, as the spike still has yet to be planted, but Redux has crept up, found the first angle on the screens, and is now ready to smoke back out to heaven so that Cubert can make their second approach in open sight lines. Infiltrator on the operator finds Redux! In what world did you think he would? Flare now secondary, and Winthrop can begin their secondary collapse onto the remainder of this Cubert squad, which is once again, Knights has to do his dirty work, make sure nobody's creeping up the flank before he accepts his fate of the timeout in 15. But that is how you respond to this properly, as Winthrop is nailing those shots. The moments that Cubert show themselves ISO'd, and those are microsecond long windows at this stage in the game. Nevertheless, double digits for the favorites here.
That would have been nice if Knights was able to get that ultimate orb just at the end there. Like, oh, Viper Spit, yes, please. But no, not going to be able to get that one. Simply just not enough time there. And yeah, once again, when I talk about how you want to approach this Cubert Academy, using the smokes to section off different areas and then clear those methodically, we didn't really see that time around. They just decided to walk in onto the site, maybe feeling themselves a little bit, and Winthrop makes sure to keep them humble. Nasi specifically, still the top kill person in the leaderboard, has 20 kills on the board right now, and just goes in and completely shuts down any push that was going to happen. Winthrop University, like on that defense, they just kind of dipped in, found their kills, dipped out, and Cubert Academy were left more or less scratching their heads. So I might have cursed it, I might have jinxed it, but Winthrop do find their first in the round and are looking to potentially get 3 more. And they could clear out the series, as things are not looking good for Ali.
Proactive Hunter's Fury, though, from Nasi. That's still going to slow down wherever Cubert is. Moves now the next point up, and he'll once again get an early frag. Again, the one weakness that Cubert has on this attack, and it's starting to show. Knights now creeping up himself, able to catch Flare watching the window. T-Dog as well, getting rid of Moves before he can do any more damage.
Look at this, like, they've got the Viper's wall all the way up onto that B side, and Winthrop University, they saw 3 of them onto A, so they have to try and reinforce it, making sure that this is going to be nice and easy here. And at this point, I want to talk about this Gecko because this Gecko has been so good. T-Dog has been very effective at making sure just to use Wingman, get the spike down pretty consistently without putting themselves into harm's way. And still the flashes have been so well coordinated with the rest of the team. And so yeah, Wingman gets that spike down. Infiltrator still has this operator, still a threat, but Cubert poised to win yet another round.
He's got to be almost belligerently brave here, and Redux already on the outskirts, so Yellow here to try and hold it down, but Infiltrator given a lifeline after that recon dart. He's going to dash up with this. Oh boy. Redux now TP's back over. Different target for Infiltrator. He can't nail it down, and that's too much work for Nasi to do. So Cubert will hold it down again on the B site, get themselves to 8 here, and I mean, Marks, I really don't think you cursed it. This defense is still prone to becoming rice paper the second Cubert get the first frag.
I mean, some might call it a numbers advantage. I like to call it the power of friendship because Cubert Academy, like every single time they kind of go into one of these fights here, with a couple of exceptions, there's like 2 or 3 of them just peeking around the corner. And that way they make sure that even if we see Winthrop University find a pick, they're instantly ready for the trade. I talked a lot about their utility, but it's also too just the ape strong together mentality that's really been helping Cubert make sure to equalize the round, or at least find a lot of kills and just shut people down. Look, Move's already down thanks to Scuba, and that's just such an opening that, like, they more or less got gifted the Reyna for free.
Just really trying to double down that issue. Infiltrator was trying to babysit moves up to the window with that Sheriff in play on this half-hearted buy that Winthrop have for themselves. Flare will get away with one from the maps, but this side is unquestionably Cubert's, as will be the round, no doubt. Ollie, unfortunately, the only one who did not have a Sheriff, got a shotgun. We'll see if he can throw his body anywhere fun. We'll actually pick up a Sheriff here, so can at least get something done. Potentially. Ooh. Hey, nice. It is Ollie after all. Oh. Against the shotgun. I had some questions, but we make it work.
Now, if that ain't friendship, I don't know what is, Bedreck. Jeez. 3 people just hanging out there. The up, down, up. Or sorry, it's the down, up, down. Yeah, just
high,
once again.
low, lower.
Yeah, the high, low, low. But once again, just great stuff coming out here. I have to say, like, at this point, Winthrop University, I want to see them take a little bit more aggression. They can't just kind of send the Reyna out on its own to try and find a couple of kills. We need to see a little bit more of that combo utility. Enable your duelists to find those early picks. I think if they do decide to push the issue, take a little bit more space, play a little bit more aggressive, they could be rewarded from it. But simply, it's just a one person at a time, pushing out and taking that space, which is when Cubert Academy are just going to be able to win every single duel. So excellent job already, and it should be a pretty easy spike down, and already they're getting all the Killjoy mollies out. Flare gonna use the lockdown as well, so this is a lot of tools already expended.
T-Dog's still gonna be able to plant this before Infiltrator gets the kill, but he will get that kill. The lockdown will force everyone to step out. Redux no longer able to be aggressive, steps into the kill. Nismo now able to start fighting again. Infiltrator with this angle on the operator has to be the saving grace once more. Nismo can't clip him, but the lockdown about to proc onto Infiltrator, and so it's Moves that has to protect him. But with that devour, or with that dismiss, he's able to hold it down. Scuba with the kill against Infiltrator with this operator, but he's back up and running and can head back over to Spike to at least tap it. Force the fight one more time, but Scuba has the angle. And Infiltrator loses the guessing game. We are tied up at 10.
I can hold an arrow.
Yeah, map 3 looking like a real potential possibility right now. Cubert Academy, what a recovery here. Winthrop University will finally use their time out after getting beaten round after round, 7 rounds in this half. Only able to find one on their own, but still, once again, like, a lot of that setup, a lot of that making sure you're playing aggressive but playing together, that's what I want to see from this composition. At this point, it almost feels like they're just like a pug team running at the offense, trying to find those timings, trying to find those moments. And when we see it's a little bit more of like an even gunfight, that's when Winthrop University are able to come out on top. But you can't be just relying on guys like Infiltrator to just come out on top of like a 1v3 duel at this point, because Cubert Academy, like I said, they have all their members looking in the same direction with that power of friendship, ready to just punish any single person that they spring upon. And just the pure numbers advantage for Cubert Academy with some smart placed util has made all of the difference on this attacking half. Winthrop University are just, once again, relying on those individual frags to carry them across the finish line. But right now, if that's simply not working, we got to go back to the drawing board for this one.
And it appears you have a little more time too, at least internally, as we do have a quick technical pause. I want to shout out in particular here on the attack, Redux, and how he's been continuing to be the one to step out and be aggressive, which not only shows how much responsibility they're willing to hand to Knights, becoming that primary controller should he not come through, but Redux having so much control over these set plays and having these guaranteed peaks on top of stuff like T-Dog's Dizzy, like we saw in that previous round, just executed so perfectly that it really is impossible for Redux to fail on an approach like that. Winthrop, unfortunately, would love to press a lot of these attacks, would love to do more than just send one guy in and you know, hide him away in a cupboard. But unfortunately, when there's these like absolute 100% kill opportunities that Cubert has, thanks to Redux just immediately getting that far up the lane and being able to entry off of that guaranteed a blind, it's a really tough back and forth that Winthrop has to play with the respect they give this attack. And when they're actually able to spring things, again, one of the many weaknesses that this composition has, where it's just your opportunities are so slim to make a connection that'll actually carry you all the way to a round win, apart from, you know, just an opening frag that won't lead to a trade back.
And you bring up Redux here, and I think that's a player really to highlight, because I'd be so curious to see the stats on Redux's first bloods, especially with how that defenders have
crazy. Yeah.
Like, the operator was just simply always hitting. And so that was something that, you know, if you're Winthrop University, okay, we know Redux is coming online. You got to kind of account for that a little bit more. You got to understand that, yeah, these players are starting to heat up. And, you know, the good vibes were all on your side when you ended the half 9-3. But that immediately kind of got shut down. And you can tell that Winthrop University are really struggling to figure out how they want to play some of this. And it's just Cubert Academy now riding off the high right now of getting so many rounds in a row and looking really pristine. And I do think a lot of that is just coming down to pure practice from Cubert Academy. Like, a lot of the swings, a lot of the utility is very well coordinated when they want to enter in onto the site. The reason why Redux is able to take so much of that lane space is simply because, you know, the other team is, or sorry, your teammates are doing a good job at smoking out the right areas, flashing things, scouting things out. It looks very rehearsed from Cubert Academy, and it's just weeding out these singular individuals from Winthrop on this defense. And Infiltrator got a little bit of carry syndrome right now. Still trying to take these advanced forward fights. Does not have really any support, and the only Vandal on the team gets spotted out immediately, but still is going to be double dipping.
I'm aghast that he goes for that again. And I couldn't agree more. I think Cubert are in a state where, you know, coming off of the playoffs, no one was really, you know, trying to clap back at them for any sort of like freezes or like deer in headlights moments, or like their game sense wasn't trash. It really was just like chokes and not being fully like sheened when it came to your set plays and your executions. And you can tell in the offseason they have been just polishing and polishing and polishing. This looks so refined, so clean so far from Cubert on this attack. Now, once again, make that approach up the lane now that all of the util has been conversated. The Nanostorms are actually going to get prodded out a little earlier by Redux's shots as well, so T-Dog's little guy gets in a little bit for free here. Now, I'll spray it back down. Winthrop's here to respond. Got two members in the fray here. Still a spawn watch with Nismo as well, so it is kind of a half-hearted fight, but Scuba does not care. Okay. He grabs two off rip here. And that should be all. No, Scuba's going to grab three. And 10 seconds to plant, but nobody available. Sure, give the guy 4.
I was gonna question, like I was watching the minimap. Oh, here comes Cubert Academy walking over onto the B site. This is gonna be a great. And yeah, instead I'm watching Scuba just walk forwards. Not usually the Killjoy, even in this comp, to be the one who's taking the space there. Usually you use the Killjoy to set up stuff on the flank, make sure you can't get flat. Nope, yeah, Scuba's just walking in right now. And Scuba just taking so much far forward space that once again, Winthrop University, like, they're relying on those hero plays. They're relying on one singular member to be able to find a lot of value and just not expecting, you know, Scuba, the Killjoy, right up in your face. And Scuba gets away with so much. So Cubert now at 11. 2 rounds from sending us to map number 3. And Tenrek, it's looking more and more possible as this continues out.
This is definitely what we're on the road towards. Seems pretty inevitable. Oh, especially if that's happening.
Down A.
Tough start. Off the ping. Beautiful recon from Nasi.
They lose T-Dog. And I've talked about the impact that Gecko has been really bringing to the fray. You know, bringing out all the zoo to the battlefield is always a good option. But it's just a lot of utility that was really helpful at helping Cubert move in. They still have the numbers advantage here. Infiltrator is popping the knives. Let's see if they want to try and stop them from planting. It looks like Infiltrator is going to try and take a timing. Ali up top.
No flash to enter now. Nismo already used his, and like you said, T-Dog already taken care of.
30 seconds left.
So lacking confidence on this A entry. They'll go for what they can be shrouded for. We'll see if Winthrop can leg it over in time to be able to respond to this, because again, hard part about this composition is even when you guess everything perfectly, even when you're 1 man ahead, it's still going to be such a monumental exercise to be able to deal with this. The snake bite does not land on the plant, so you've got to spray through. Nasi luckily can. Will immediately get countered. No moves, able to watch, and Winthrop is in fact here in time. The response team makes their entry in spades, and everybody might stay standing here. Infiltrator even staying respectful, making sure he doesn't get a bad shot, handing it to none other than the top frag of the lobby yet again. Make a wish, Marks. Winthrop University might just have theirs come true if they can have a defensive round like that 2 more times.
Yeah, and once again, like, I think this was a lot more dialed in. You know, we got the leashes on, we can pull them back in a little bit, and we didn't see those opportunities where Winthrop University were just kind of throwing their lives away with like one person moving forwards and immediately getting got, and then Cubert Academy can just walk over them. Of course, starting out with a first kill onto T-Dog, shutting down that Gecko makes it a lot easier for those things to happen. But like you said, like, there's a lot of opportunity for Cubert Academy to walk completely onto the other side because they've got a lot of utility to just control it. But this time around, Winthrop, when playing together, are able to properly counter and properly retake that site. So great job coming in from them to tie things up. Redux, though, still walks away with the first blood onto moves.
That's, again, just lightning fast response time from him on this Omen of all things. He's playing like he still has a dash available. Oh, Infiltrator is playing like he can't use his at all. Traded out by Nismo far earlier than he had bargained for, and so it's still advantage Cubert, and it's about to be worse. So T-Dog, okay, he cannot shoot that time around against Ollie, and that'll actually signal the push onto A side. So Winthrop against once again be early to this. You have a Hunter's Fury to try to stave this off. Wingman can get the plant down. You're not going to be able to. Oh, you do stop this in time. That's massive. Viper's Pick going to get committed to this as well from Cubert, and it's basically all or nothing at this stage. Hunter's Fury now to, again, slow things down. You can't get this plant, and Cubert gonna hightail it. They might have to just fully rotate. It looks like that's what they're gonna do.
This is an interesting strategy, but once again, a lot of utility here to remain in control, especially with that 0 point getting tossed out. At this point, you have an idea on this rotation around, so it's gonna be a mad dash here for B. T-Dog in a great position.
Oh, and he can't find the shot against Ollie again!
Spike planted.
That changes just about everything. Knights, though, again,
Revealing area.
able to choke that out, and it's still such an adventure here to get up in front of this toxic screen with so few resources, no blinds, now just Ollie left. 1v3. We've got so much to check. Turn on to 1. Nobody immediate response. Immediate watch on top. Scuba now in front of this orb. Is he ready for it? No. Cubert crawl to 12 here on Icebox.
The gonads of Cubert of just being like, they're all over here. What if we just like left, huh? Yeah, let's do that. Such a, obviously the right call in hindsight, but it's just like, wow, you got the Viper's Pit down. You invested so much onto this A site. But oh yeah, that's right. Our composition is built around a lot of rechargeable utility. We can just rotate over and everything will be fine. And yeah, they completely just kerfuffle Winthrop University, not aware of what to do. And then we see that fragmenting in the retake come through yet again. Cubert Academy now 1 round away from sending us to Haven. Winthrop University, it's been a rough second half for them. Only 2 rounds rescued. And this is once again Cubert's map pick here. Winthrop thought that they had this one. Infiltrator starts us off on the right foot.
No check from Knights. It's potentially no backup plan for Cubert. Have to prepare for this flank or the watch for it. They'll already send Scuba long ways over to spawn. Are we gonna have a little fight or flight against Nasi here up mid? Well, the Owl Drone is gonna prevent that. Infiltrator is close and personal with this approach on the lane, which is why Cubert really hate going any further on it. So they will, in fact, back out again, and then now relying on Scuba to play mid-patrol to potentially get them over to A site, unless they reconsider, just as Winthrop's leaving. Timing could be on their side if they make the right call.
And this is finally one of those rounds where it doesn't seem like Cubert have infinite time to do whatever they want. Down to 30 seconds, they have to commit onto this site. Most importantly, Infiltrator's still alive from Winthrop University. We're seeing the lockdown get invested now. And Viper's Pit going to come out in response. No Hunter's Fury available for Winthrop, though. So I wonder if they're just going to try and stick it.
Seems like that's what they're going to do. Scuba getting aggressive. Nismo spraying through the smoke to counteract that. Viper's Pit set up, but that'll immediately, get short-circuited here. Oh, T-Dog again. Bad angle to give himself away on, but he readjusts and takes care of Flare. And that might be all she wrote. Winthrop might not have the resources to get through from here. Cubert can keep tossing stuff and throwing shots at this, but Mooms has the lineup on yellow. Both players on it, back into the wall. And it's T-Dog alone with no resources. Ollie holding the spike, but Mooms isn't ready on the sideline. And Spike wasn't hit for half. Ollie, does he hold it? He dies! T-Dog clutches it for Cubert. And they make the comeback work all the way to map 3 where we're going.
Everybody feeling a little bit more superstitious after that one. The 9-3 curse breaking Winthrop University down. Cubert Academy, especially on their attack, looked like they were fundamentally just dismantling anything Winthrop threw at them. Once again, I think it really came down to that compositional difference and Winthrop not really having a well-rehearsed plan on their defense, but it just felt like so many of those rounds were just expertly executed by Cubert Academy. They always found the right timing, always found the isolation, so many first bloods, and this time able to convert into actual rounds. Just honestly, a great job at Cubert, just staying calm, realizing that they are not out of it yet, keeping their head in the game, and forcing out now this map number 3.
Yeah, continuing to look just tremendous when it comes to this Icebox execution on both sides now. They have had their own showcase for at least one game. We'll see if that choreographed action continues on Haven map 3, where we're going after this.